The rain hammered the laundromat window like it had a grudge, turning the glass into a blurry veil that hid the Seattle streets beyond. Finn Harper shoved his last quarter into the machine, the clink echoing louder than his heartbeat, which was already racing from the empty ache of another Friday night alone. Then the door swung open with a gust that smelled of wet pine and leather, and there he was, Wyatt Kane, all broad shoulders and storm-gray eyes, dripping rain like he owned the downpour, his gaze locking onto Finn's with the precision of a predator who had finally spotted his mark. Wyatt's boots thudded against the linoleum, each step pulling Finn deeper into the gravity of him, a man who looked carved from the rugged Cascades themselves. Tall, muscled from years of hauling timber in the logging camps up north, his flannel shirt clinging to his chest like a second skin. Finn had seen him before, twice now, always on these godforsaken laundry days when the city felt too big and his apartment too small. But this time Wyatt didn't just nod and load his duffel. He crossed the room, water pooling at his feet, and leaned against the dryer next to Finn's, close enough that the heat radiating off him cut through the humid air like a promise. "You always wash whites on a night like this?" Wyatt's voice was low gravel, laced with that Pacific Northwest drawl that made Finn's knees want to buckle. It wasn't a question so much as an invitation, hanging there between the hum of spinning drums and the relentless patter outside. Finn's throat tightened, words failing him as Wyatt's eyes traced the line of his jaw, slow and deliberate, awakening something feral in Finn's chest. A spark that had been smoldering since the first glimpse of the stranger who showed up like clockwork, turning mundane chores into electric anticipation. Finn swallowed hard, his fingers twisting the edge of his faded band tee, the one with the hole at the hem from too many nervous tugs. "Yeah, well, stains don't wait for sunshine." It came out breathier than he intended, laced with a laugh that didn't quite land. But Wyatt's mouth curved into a half-smile that hit Finn like a shot of whiskey, warm, burning straight to his core. They stood there as the machines churned, the silence thickening with unspoken want, until Wyatt reached past him for a forgotten detergent pod on the shelf, his arm brushing Finn's in a graze that lingered just a beat too long. Electricity shot up Finn's spine, and he wondered if Wyatt could hear the way his pulse thundered, betraying every guarded wall he'd built around his heart. By the time the cycle ended, Finn's clothes were twisted in the drum like his thoughts, and Wyatt was still there, folding a pair of jeans with hands that looked made for holding more than fabric. Rough palms scarred from chainsaws and ropes, veins standing out like rivers on a map. "Name's Wyatt," he said finally, extending one of those hands, and when Finn took it, the grip was firm, calluses scraping against his skin in a way that made his breath hitch. "Finn," he managed, the word tasting like surrender. Wyatt's eyes darkened, something primal flickering in them as he held on a second longer than necessary. "Finn, suits you. Like you belong out in the wild, not cooped up in this tin can." They talked then, halting at first, words tumbling out amid the scent of fabric softener and rain-soaked earth. Wyatt was from up in the Olympics, a logger who drove down to the city every other week for supplies and solitude, crashing in a cheap motel off Aurora Avenue. Finn spilled fragments of his own life. A graphic designer scraping by in a cramped Belltown studio, orphaned young and bounced between foster homes that left him with a knack for sketching shadows, but a terror of letting light in. "Seattle's got its hooks in you," Wyatt said, slinging his bag over his shoulder as the storm eased to a drizzle. "But it don't have to keep you chained." He paused at the door, turning back with that gaze that stripped Finn bare. "See you next wash, Finn. Count on it." Finn watched him vanish into the mist, the laundromat suddenly colder, emptier, his freshly cleaned socks clutched like a talisman. That night, alone in his apartment with the city lights flickering through the blinds, Finn's hand wandered lower, Wyatt's name a whisper on his lips as heat coiled tight and released in waves. It was more than lust. It was the first crack in the armor he'd worn since coming out at 18, only to watch his foster brother spit slurs and slam the door. Wyatt Kane wasn't just a man. He was a disruption, a force that made Finn's heart spike and his body ache with possibilities he'd long buried. Days blurred into a rhythm of sketches and client calls, Finn's mind drifting to the texture of Wyatt's voice, the way his laugh rumbled like thunder over the sound. He told himself it was nothing, just a crush born of isolation. But when laundry day rolled around again, 10 days later, precise as the tides, Finn found himself lingering in front of the mirror, scrubbing stubble from his jaw, choosing a shirt that hugged his lean frame a little tighter. The laundromat was busier this time, fluorescent buzz mingling with the chatter of night shift workers. But when Wyatt pushed through the door, snow dusted from an early cascade flurry, the room narrowed to just the two of them. Wyatt spotted him immediately, that predatory glint sharpening as he made his way over, dropping his gear bag with a thud that silenced the spin cycles in Finn's ears. "Knew you'd be here," Wyatt said, voice pitched low for Finn alone, a grin tugging at his beard-stubbled chin. He smelled of pine sap and cold air, invigorating, and when he bumped Finn's shoulder playfully while loading the washer, the contact lingered, electric. They fell into easier talk this time, Wyatt sharing stories of near misses with falling trees, the kind that left a man grateful for another dawn. Finn admitting his latest project, a mural for a queer youth center downtown, sketches of intertwined hands defying the rain. "You're an artist, then?" Wyatt murmured, peering over Finn's shoulder at the doodle pad he'd pulled out to steady his nerves. A rough outline of a wolf silhouetted against evergreens, fierce yet solitary. Wyatt's breath ghosted his neck, sending shivers racing down Finn's arms. "That wolf's got your eyes. Hungry, but holding back." Finn's cheeks burned, the truth of it stinging because Wyatt saw too much, peeled back layers Finn hadn't even known were there. As their loads tumbled in tandem, Wyatt's knee pressed against Finn's under the folding table, a deliberate anchor that made conversation stutter into charged silences. When the dryers dinged, Wyatt helped him fold, their fingers brushing over a pair of boxer briefs that had Finn praying for the floor to swallow him whole. But Wyatt just chuckled, deep and unhurried, tucking the fabric into Finn's basket with a wink. "Wear these next time. For luck." Outside, the flurry had thickened, fat flakes catching in Wyatt's hair like stars, and he pulled Finn under the awning, close enough to share body heat. "Dinner sometime? Not in this dump." Finn's yes was a nod, heart slamming as Wyatt's hand cupped his elbow, thumb tracing a circle that promised more. They parted with numbers exchanged, Wyatt's truck rumbling away into the wideout, leaving Finn dizzy, alive in a way that terrified him. The first date was at a dive bar in Fremont, the kind with fairy lights strung over scarred wooden tables and craft beers named after forgotten logging towns. Wyatt arrived late, blaming a chainsaw that fought back, but his apology was a six-pack of IPAs and a story that had Finn laughing until his sides ached. The tale of a bear that stole his lunch and his dignity in one swipe. They talked for hours, Wyatt's leg hooked around Finn's stool, a casual claim that felt like possession. Finn opened up about the foster scars, the way he'd learned to fade into walls rather than fight for space. Wyatt listened with those storm eyes, sharing his own ghosts. A father lost to the woods young, a string of bar fights masking the loneliness of a life spent felling trees instead of building roots. By closing time, the snow had piled high, and Wyatt walked him home through the muffled streets, their shoulders brushing, breaths mingling in clouds. At Finn's door, the kiss happened fast. A brush of lips that ignited like dry tinder, Wyatt's hand fisting in Finn's hair, pulling him close with a growl that vibrated through them both. It was rough, needy, tongues clashing as Finn pressed against the door, Wyatt's body hard and unyielding, heat spiking low and insistent. They broke apart gasping, Wyatt's forehead to Finn's, voice ragged. "Been wanting that since the first load of whites." Finn could only nod, chasing his mouth again, the world narrowing to the taste of hops and want. That night marked the shift, from chance encounters to stolen weekends, Wyatt crashing on Finn's lumpy couch after shifts, their bodies mapping each other in the dark. Wyatt was alpha in every sense. Dominant in bed, his hands pinning Finn down with a gentleness that belied the strength, whispers of praise drawing out moans Finn didn't know he could make. But it was the mornings that undid him. Wyatt in nothing but boxers, brewing coffee strong as his grip, pulling Finn back against his chest while the city woke. "You're mine now, Harper," he'd murmur, nipping at his ear, and Finn believed it, letting the walls crumble brick by brick. Yet doubts crept in like fog off the bay. Wyatt's life was the wild. Weekends vanished into the forests, texts sparse during hauls. Finn filled the silences with sketches of them. Wyatt's profile against pine boughs, Finn's hand in his. He met Wyatt's crew once, up at a roadside diner in Snohomish. Rough men with ink-sleeved arms who ribbed Wyatt about city polish, but clapped Finn on the back like he belonged. It felt real, solid, until the call came. Wyatt's ex, a logger named Travis from his hometown, stirring old flames with texts that Wyatt dismissed but Finn glimpsed. The words, "Come back where you fit," slicing like an axe. Laundry day came again. Routine turned ritual. But this time the laundromat felt charged. Wyatt arriving with shadows under his eyes. A fresh bruise blooming on his knuckles from a bar scuffle he wouldn't name. "Travis," he admitted finally. As they sat on the bench, machines whirring like accusations. "Heard I was seeing someone soft. Came looking for a fight." Finn's stomach twisted, the word soft landing like a slap. But Wyatt's hand found his thigh, squeezing. "Doesn't matter. You're what I want." They left early, tumbling into Finn's bed. Wyatt's touches fiercer, as if branding him against the ghosts. Heat built to a frenzy, bodies slick and urgent. But in the afterglow, Finn lay awake, tracing the scars on Wyatt's back, wondering if he could ever be enough for a man built for storms. Weeks deepened into months, their rhythms sinking like tides. Wyatt's returns from the woods met with Finn's arms, dinners of takeout Thai on the fire escape, watching fairies cut the sound. Finn's mural went up at the youth center, vibrant strokes of color against gray concrete, and Wyatt stood beside him at the unveiling, arms slung possessively around his waist, ignoring the stares from passers-by. "Proud of you," he rumbled, kissing Finn's temple in full view, a quiet rebellion that made Finn's chest swell. They talked futures then, Wyatt floating the idea of a cabin near Port Angeles. Room for Finn's studio, space to breathe without the city's crush. It sounded like home, the kind Finn had sketched in dreams. But betrayal brewed in the undercurrents. Finn's best friend, Riley, a barista with a pixie cut and a protective streak, warned him over late-night lattes. "Loggers like him? They love hard, leave harder. Seen it with my brother." Finn brushed it off, but the seed took root, watered by Wyatt's silences during long hauls. One night, after a show at the Triple Door, Wyatt surprising him with balcony seats, hands wandering under the table. Finn found the text on Wyatt's phone. "Left charging. Travis again. Miss the real you. Woods need their king." Wyatt swore it was nothing, deleted the thread. But the trust frayed. Finn pulling back into his sketches. Lines sharper, shadows deeper. The high point came in summer, a road trip up the Olympic Peninsula. Wyatt's truck loaded with coolers and tents, Finn navigating with a dog-eared atlas. They hiked Hurricane Ridge at dawn, mist clinging to evergreens, Wyatt hoisting Finn onto his shoulders for the view, laughter echoing off peaks. That night by Lake Crescent, under a sky thick with stars, Wyatt dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but a carved wooden wolf, eyes inlaid with turquoise. "Wear it for me. Means your pack." Finn's yes was a sob, their lovemaking slow and reverent on the lakeshore. Water lapping like applause, bodies merging in a rhythm that felt eternal. Fall crept in with amber leaves and chill winds, turning Seattle's edges gold. But the warmth between Finn and Wyatt burned brighter, a counterpoint to the shortening days. Laundry days evolved into foreplay, Wyatt arriving with takeout burritos from the taqueria on Pike, spreading them on the folding table while their loads tumbled, his foot hooking Finn's calf under the pretense of space. "Can't keep my hands off you in here," he'd growl, stealing kisses that left Finn breathless, detergent pods forgotten. It was domestic, intoxicating, Wyatt's alpha presence filling the sterile space with life, his hands deft on Finn's waistband, tugging him into shadowed corners for hurried grinds that ended in muffled gasps. Finn's world expanded with him, introducing Wyatt to his queer-found family at a drag brunch in Capitol Hill. Where sequins glittered and mimosas flowed, Wyatt's initial stiffness melting into easy grins as he two-stepped awkwardly to RuPaul tracks, pulling Finn close amid cheers. "Your people?" Wyatt said later, driving home through the neon blur. "They see you. All of you." It healed something in Finn, the boy who'd hidden sketches under his bed, fearing judgment. Wyatt saw it all. The freckles on his shoulders, the stutter in his laugh, the way he bit his lip when nerves hit, and claimed it with touches that spoke louder than words. Yet the undercurrent of Travis simmered. Wyatt's phone buzzed less, but Finn caught the deleted notifications, the way Wyatt's jaw clenched at mentions of the old crew. One evening, after a gallery opening for Finn's digital prints, abstract wolves in urban jungles, inspired by their hikes, Wyatt pulled him onto the balcony overlooking Elliott Bay, city lights dancing on waves. "Travis cornered me at the mill today," he confessed, voice tight as he lit a rare cigarette, smoke curling like doubt. "Said you're a phase. City boy dragging me down." Finn's heart plummeted, but Wyatt crushed the butt under his boot, turning to cup Finn's face. "He's wrong. You're the anchor I didn't know I needed." They made love that night with an edge, Wyatt's dominance laced with desperation. Hands pinning wrists, teeth grazing collarbones, drawing out pleas that echoed off the brick walls. Finn arched into it, chasing the reassurance in Wyatt's thrusts, the way he whispered "mine" like a vow against Finn's skin. In the quiet after, tangled in sheets scented with salt air, Wyatt traced Finn's tattoos. A sleeve of intertwined vines from his foster days, symbolizing roots he'd never had. "These tell your story," Wyatt murmured. "Let me add to it." He sketched a rough paw print on Finn's thigh with his finger, and Finn believed, letting hope bloom fragile and fierce. Winter hit hard, gales rattling Finn's windows, but Wyatt's visits were hearth fires. Stocking the fridge with elk jerky from his hunts, teaching Finn to whittle pine shavings into charms that dangled from the rearview. They celebrated New Year's on a rooftop in Ballard, fireworks blooming over the shipyards. Wyatt's arms a cage of muscle as he murmured resolutions into Finn's neck. More time here, less running. Finn's own wish was unspoken, to bridge their worlds, maybe a job for Wyatt in sustainable forestry closer to the city, roots twining instead of tangling. But conflict escalated in February, a storm that mirrored the one brewing inside. Wyatt vanished for a week. No texts, just a voicemail crackling with static. "Crew emergency. Tree down on a guy. Back soon." Finn paced his studio, sketches turning frantic, lines slashing like accusations. Riley showed up with wine, her empathy sharp. "Babe, alphas like him, they conquer, then retreat. You deserve steady." Finn waved it off, but sleep evaded him, dreams of Wyatt lost in wideouts, calling for someone stronger. When Wyatt returned, gaunt and bandaged, a gash on his forearm from debris, he collapsed into Finn's arms, the scent of blood and balsam overwhelming. "Missed you," he rasped, pulling Finn down onto the couch, their reunion raw and reclaiming. Wyatt's mouth was everywhere, devouring lips, sucking marks into thighs, his alpha need pouring out in thrusts that bruised and healed. Finn clung to him, nails raking backs, whispering "stay" like a prayer. They talked dawn through, Wyatt admitting the pull of the woods, the brotherhood that filled Voight's family never did. "But you make me want more than survival." Spring thawed the tensions, cherry blossoms dusting Queen and Hill as they picnicked in Discovery Park. Wyatt's head in Finn's lap, reading dog-eared Hemingway aloud. Stories of men at sea, battling currents. Finn wove wildflowers into Wyatt's hair, laughing at his grumbles, the moment crystallizing their ease. Plans solidified. Wyatt interviewing for a urban arborist gig. Finn pitching a series on queer lumberjacks for a local mag. Felt like momentum, love solidifying into legacy. Then the betrayal landed like an undercut root. It was laundry day again, the laundromats hum a familiar lullaby, but Wyatt was late, uncharacteristically so. Finn folded alone, mind wandering to anniversary ideas, when the door banged open. Not Wyatt, but Riley, face ashen, thrusting her phone at him. A photo. Wyatt at a backwoods bar up in Forks, Travis's arms slung around his neck, their mouths inches apart, eyes blurred with whiskey and want. Caption from a mutual. Old flames flicker. Kane's back where he belongs. Finn's world tilted, the phone slipping from numb fingers. He stumbled out into the drizzle, chest caving as sobs tore free raw, ugly sounds swallowed by the rain. Betrayal wasn't just the kiss. It was the lie, the deleted texts now screaming truth. Wyatt's truck pulled up minutes later, headlights cutting the gloom. But Finn was already walking, blocks blurring into a haze of hurt. Finn, wait! Wyatt's voice cracked over the downpour, but Finn spun, eyes blazing. You said I was enough. Anchor. The words choked out venom and grief. Wyatt reached for him, rain streaming down his face like tears. It was nothing, a drunk mistake. He's poison, always has been. But Finn recoiled, the wooden wolf charm burning against his chest. Mistakes don't hide. You chose the woods over us. He tore the charm free, hurling it into the gutter, the clatter lost in thunder. Wyatt's face crumpled, alpha facade shattering into a man adrift. But Finn turned away, heart fracturing with each step home. Days bled into isolation. Finn's apartment a tomb of half-folded laundry and erased sketches. Riley rallied him with soup and sitcom marathons, her hugs fierce anchors, but sleep brought nightmares of Wyatt's hands. Once salvation, now specters. He threw out the coffee Wyatt liked, the whittled charms, but the ache lingered, a hollow where heat had bloomed. Work suffered. Clients got half-hearted designs. The youth center mural's sequel stalled. Finn wandered the markets, fingering flannels that smelled faintly of pine, cursing the spike in his pulse at every broad-shouldered stranger. Wyatt's texts piled up, apologies raw as open wounds. I fucked up. You're my north. Calls went unanswered, voicemails a litany of pleas. Finn deleted them all, but one night, weak with fever from a flu that mirrored his soul sickness, he listened, Wyatt's voice breaking. Travis was escape, not home. You are. Come back, Finn. Let me fix this. Tears tracked hot, and Finn curled into the silence. The wolf charm retrieved from a drawer, its edges worn smooth from thumbing. Healing was jagged, pieced in therapy sessions at the center, talking circles where queer voices wove safety nets. Betrayal doesn't define your worth, the facilitator said, and Finn nodded, sketching mandalas of rebirth. Spring deepened, tulips rioting in the arboretum, and Finn ran there, pounding paths until lungs burned clean. Riley dragged him to pride planning, rainbow flags snapping like defiance, and slowly, color seeped back. Laughter genuine, touches from friends electric in their platonic warmth. Wyatt respected the space, but Finn caught glimpses. The truck idling outside the laundromat, Wyatt's silhouette a ghost in the rain. One evening, sketching at a cafe in Magnolia, Finn looked up to find him at the counter, ordering 2 lattes, hesitant as a fawn. Wyatt slid one over, eyes shadowed. Not pushing, just missed our ritual. Finn's hand trembled on the cup, heat from the foam mirroring the flare in his chest. Why now? Wyatt sat, uninvited but still. Because losing you carved me hollow. Therapy's my new chainsaw cutting the bullshit. I'm done running. They talked, cautious as new buds. Wyatt owning the betrayal, the toxic pull of old patterns, Travis blocking him for good. Finn admitted the terror of not being alpha enough. The foster echoes of abandonment. Vulnerability hung between them, fragile bridge. Wyatt's hand inched across the table, pausing for permission. Finn laced their fingers, the contact a spark reigniting embers. Slow, Finn whispered. Wyatt nodded, thumb stroking knuckles. As slow as you need. I'm here. Rebuilding was tentative, coffee meetups turning to walks along the locks, salmon leaping as metaphors for persistence. Wyatt showed up consistent, therapy printouts shared like love letters, his alpha softened into ally. Bed came later, hesitant explorations in Finn's space. Wyatt's touches reverent, asking here, with eyes that pleaded forgiveness. Heat built gradual, bodies remembering rhythms, but now laced with words. Affirmations murmured against skin. Love you, gasped in climax. Summer returned, hotter, and with it, the cabin dream revived. Wyatt's new job in urban green spaces funding a down payment near Bainbridge. Ferry rides their commute. Finn's series launched, profiles of queer woodsmen owning their truths. Wyatt's feature the anchor. Raw photos of him felling urban oaks. Caption reading Roots in the Wild, Home in the Heart. Pride that year, they marched hand in hand. Wyatt's flannel swapped for a rainbow bandana. Cheers enveloping them like embrace. Yet the climax loomed in autumn. A harvest moon pulling tides of reckoning. Travis resurfaced, not with texts but in flesh. At a mill reunion Wyatt skipped, but whispers reached Finn via Riley's network. Travis badmouthed them, calling Wyatt gone soft for a twink. Rage simmered, but Finn channeled it into confrontation. Not with fists, but presence. He drove up alone, the peninsula's curves a test of nerve, finding Travis at a roadside bar, bleary-eyed and belligerent. You're the poison, Finn said, voice steady as he stood tall. Travis sneered, but Finn pressed on, words honed like Wyatt's axe. You can't claim what's healed. He's free now of you, of hiding. The bar hushed, patrons shifting uncomfortably, and Travis deflated, muttering retreats. Finn left unbroken, the drive back a victory lap, texting Wyatt. Took back our story. Wyatt met him at the ferry dock, pulling him into a crush of limbs and relief, their kiss salt-tanged and triumphant. That night, under the cabin's half-raised beams, framed by friends, queer and straight alike, they christened the space, bodies fervent on sleeping bags, heat spiking to inferno as forgiveness sealed them. Wyatt's alpha roar mingled with Finn's cries, a symphony of reclaimed power. The cabin took shape through winter's grip, hammer strikes echoing Finn and Wyatt's resolve. Walls rising like barriers against old storms. Weekends blurred into builds. Wyatt directing crews with that innate command, sweat-sheened and focused, while Finn designed interiors, sketching hearths that cradled their shared dreams. Friends pitched in, Riley wielding a paint roller like a sword, her quips lightening the load. The youth center kids volunteering for murals, their laughter painting joy into the wood. It was communal, healing, turning betrayal's scar into a foundation stone. Intimacy deepened in the half-built space. Nights spent in the bed of Wyatt's truck under tarps, stars pricking the chill, their bodies a furnace against the frost. Wyatt's touches evolved, less conquest and more communion. Fingers mapping freckles like constellations, mouth tracing vows on inner thighs. You're my wild, he'd breathe, entering slow, eyes locked in a gaze that stripped souls bare. Finn met him thrust for thrust, hands fisting flannel, the heat coiling not just physical but profound, emerging where heart and desire spiked in unison, leaving them boneless, entwined. Spring unveiled the finished cabin, nestled in ferns near Dosualips, the sound a distant shimmer. Their housewarming was a bonfire affair. Lanterns strung in boughs, craft brews flowing, queer anthems crackling from speakers. Wyatt pulled Finn aside mid-toast, into the tree line, backing him against bark rough as truth. This is us, he said, hand splaying over Finn's heart, feeling its gallop. The kiss ignited there, urgent and open air. Wyatt's knee nudging thighs apart, grinding until Finn whimpered, release staining denim under moonlight. Guests hooped from afar, but it was theirs raw, unashamed. Daily life wove patterns of grace. Wyatt's arborist routes taking him through Seattle's green veins, lunches packed with Finn's notes tucked in, doodles of wolves with hard eyes. Finn thrived in his studio, a loft addition overlooking the river, commissions pouring in for identity portraits. Queer faces fierce and tender. Evenings were rituals. Wyatt chopping kindling, Finn stirring chilly, their banter a bridge from day's end to night's embrace. Bed was sanctuary, Wyatt's alpha tempered by tenderness. Nights of edging pleasure, drawing out gasps until Finn begged, then flipping roles, Finn topping with a dominance that surprised them both, Wyatt's submission a gift of trust. But conflict stirred anew, insidious as ivy. Wyatt's past crew, loyal to Travis's narrative, soured on him. Jobs dried up in the rural pockets, whispers of traitor following like smoke. One call from an old foreman shattered a quiet dinner. "Can't use you, Kane. Boys say you're distracted, soft." Wyatt hung up, face ashen, storming out to fell phantom trees with an axe until blisters bled. Finn found him at dawn, slumped by the woodpile, shoulders shaking. "They see me choosing you as weakness," Wyatt confessed, voice hollow. "What if they're right? What if I drag you down with me?" Finn knelt, cupping beard-rough cheeks, thumbs wiping rain-mingled tears. "Weakness is hiding. Strength is this us open." He pulled Wyatt inside, tending wounds with salve and kisses, leading him to bed where words failed but bodies spoke. Finn straddled him slow, guiding Wyatt's hands to hips, rocking until the alpha's eyes cleared, groans turning to gratitude. Heat built deliberate, Finn's pace commanding, Wyatt arching up with pleas that mended fractures. After, curled skin to skin, Finn whispered plans. Networking Wyatt into city contracts, leveraging Finn's art contacts for eco-collabs. "We're pack. We adapt." Summer swelled with opportunity. A grant for Finn's series expanded it to a docu short, filmed in the Olympics, Wyatt starring as the unapologetic queer logger. Shoots were intimate chaos. Cameras capturing Wyatt's swing, sweat gleaming, Finn directing with a lover's eye. Off-tape, they'd steal to creeks, stripping for dips that ended in waterlogged trysts. Wyatt lifting Finn against slick rocks, thrusts sinking with cascade roar, cries lost in spray. The film premiered at a fest in Port Townsend, standing ovations blurring with tears, Wyatt's arm iron around Finn's waist as credits rolled. For the alphas who choose love. Yet the betrayal's echo resurfaced in fall, a letter arriving at the cabin. Anonymous, Travis's scrawl unmistakable. Photos from the bar night, blurred but damning, captioned "Truth hurts. He's playing you." Finn's hands shook unfolding it, nausea rising, but Wyatt snatched it, crumpling to ash in the fireplace. "Poison," he snarled, but doubt flickered. Had the mistake been more? Finn confronted, voice steady despite the quake. "Tell me everything, or we're done." Wyatt broke then, admitting a fumbling kiss, whiskey-fueled regret, but no more, no lingering flame. "I ended it that night, blocked him, chose you before I even knew." Tears fell, Finn's chest heaving, but clarity cut through. Betrayal was Travis's weapon, not their truth. "Prove it," Finn demanded, and Wyatt did, driving to Forks that weekend, confronting the crew in a rain-lashed lot. Finn waited in the truck, heart pounding, until Wyatt returned, knuckles split, eyes fierce. Told them, "Love ain't soft. It's the hardest cut." The drive home was silent victory, broken at a pullout where they claimed the roadside. Wyatt bending Finn over the hood, possessive and punishing, heat spiking in rhythm with pulse, release a roar of reclamation. Winter wrapped them tighter, holidays at the cabin. Riley and crew for tree trimming, ornaments hand-whittled, stories swapped by hearthglow. Wyatt gifted Finn a custom easel from reclaimed timber, engraved "My North." And Finn's return was a portrait. Wyatt mid-swing, muscles corded, face alight with purpose, hung above their bed. Love-making that Yule was sacred, slow, oil-slick slides. Wyatt's mouth worshipping every inch, Finn's fingers and hair guiding deeper, climaxes crashing like waves on private shores. Spring brought bloom. Wyatt's contract stabilized, a mentorship for young queer tradesmen budding from his story. Finn's work flowered too, a solo show in Belltown, spikes, heart and heat, canvases pulsing with their journey, raw abstracts of bodies in ecstasy, betrayal's black strokes yielding to gold. Opening night, Wyatt in a rare button-down, pride swelling as collectors bid. In the alley after, champagne buzzed. They fucked against brick. Quick, desperate, Wyatt's hand over Finn's mouth muffling moans. The cities hum their chorus. Climax crested in summer. A heat wave baking the peninsula. Tensions from Wyatt's crew boiling over. Travis, unhinged, showed at the cabin unannounced. Drunk, demanding Wyatt come home. Lunging when refused. Wyatt shoved him back. Alpha protect rising. But Finn stepped between, voice ablade. Leave, or we call it in. Travis sneered, spitting slurs that landed like shrapnel. Ferry logger and his bitch. But deputies arrived, hauling him away on trespass. The aftermath shook them. Wyatt pacing, fists clenched, Finn bandaging a split lip from the scuffle. Night fell heavy, fears surfacing. Wyatt's whisper in dark. What if he comes back? What if I can't protect us? Finn straddled him, grounding with weight and words. We protect. Together. Their joining was cathartic. Finn riding hard. Nails scoring backs. Wyatt's hips bucking with abandon. Cries mingling in release that washed clean. Dawn brought resolve. Restraining orders, therapy doubles, community watches. Betrayal transmuted to strength. Their bond forged unbreakable. Fall harvest mooned their growth. The cabin hosting a retreat for queer youth. Workshops in whittling identities. Hikes claiming wild spaces. Wyatt led act sessions. Finn sketched circles. Their love the unspoken curriculum. Vulnerability as power. One eve, by fire pit, a kid asked, "How'd you know?" Wyatt pulled Finn close, gaze soft. He showed up, and stayed. Laughter rippled, embers rising like hopes. As leaves turned crimson veils over the river, Finn and Wyatt's life settled into a cadence both fierce and fluid. The cabin a testament to mended fractures. Mornings began with coffee brewed black as midnight. Wyatt's arm banded around Finn's waist from behind, chin hooked over shoulder as they watched mist lift from the water. Morning artist, he'd rumble, nuzzling the curve of Finn's neck, lips brushing stubble in a graze that stirred heat low and lazy. Finn leaned back, savoring the solid wall of him. Alpha warmth seeping through thin tees, a hand splaying possessive over belly, fingers dipping teasingly lower. Their days diverged yet converged. Wyatt out at dawn, scaling urban canopies in Seattle, lopping diseased limbs with precision that mirrored his care for Finn, methodical, rooted. Finn holed in the loft, stylus flying over tablets, crafting visuals for nonprofits. Campaigns on mental health in queer trades, faces like Wyatt's etched in determination. Lunches synced when routes aligned, picnics in Gasworks Park. Wyatt feeding Finn bites of sandwich, thumbs swiping crumbs from lip, eyes darkening with promise. Hurry home, he'd murmur, knee pressing insistent between thighs under the blanket. Evenings wove domestic magic. Wyatt grilling salmon from the sound, Finn tossing salads with foraged greens, vinyl spinning folk tunes from the Cascades. Dinner talk meandered, Wyatt's latest near-miss with a Widowmaker branch, Finn's breakthrough on a client pitch, laughter punctuating like full stops. Bath time turned ritual. The clawfoot tub filled steaming, Wyatt drawing Finn in, soaping backs with loofah strokes that lingered, evolving to straddles and suds, water sloshing as hips rolled, moans echoing off tile. Wyatt's mouth on Finn's chest, sucking marks like brands, heat coiling until release rippled waves, leaving them pruned and sated. Intimacy's depth plumbed new waters, Wyatt introducing toys from a discreet online order, a vibrating plug that had Finn writhing on kitchen counters, Wyatt's voice commanding, "Hold it," while prepping meals, roll flips thrilled, Finn binding Wyatt's wrists with silk ties, teasing with feathers and tongue until the alpha begged. Reversal a rush of power that equalized their dance. Heat spiked in variety. Outdoor romps in meadow clearings, Wyatt pinning Finn to wild grass, thrusts syncing with bird calls. Slow Sundays in bed, edging for hours, climaxes crashing in tandem symphonies. Community anchored them deeper. The retreat evolved annual, drawing dozens. Youth carving walking sticks as metaphors for paths chosen. elders sharing oral histories of hidden loves in logging camps. Wyatt mentored one-on-one, his gravel voice gentle. The woods don't judge. Neither should you. Finn facilitated art circles, charcoal's smudging fingers as stories spilled. Betrayals survived, identities owned. Riley became auntie in spirit, crashing weekends with her girlfriend, board games devolving to truth or dare that unearthed laughs and tears. Conflict simmered beneath the idol, the Wyatt's family, estranged shadows from his upbringing in Aberdeen. A mill town choked on regret. A letter arrived crisp as judgment. His mother, post-stroke, summoning the prodigal home, ignoring Finn's existence. Wyatt crumpled it, but Finn unfurled, reading aloud the subtext. Come alone. Redeem. Nights grew restless, Wyatt chopping wood till axes dulled. Finn sketching fragmented family trees, branches snapped. The confrontation brewed over Thanksgiving. Drive south through drizzle-veiled pines, Wyatt's knuckles white on wheel. Finn's hand steady on thigh, squeezing. We're pack. Show them. The house squatted gray in Chehalis, clabbered peeling like old skin. Sister Lila greeting with wary hugs. Tough broad with Wyatt's eyes, softened by kids tugging her apron. Mother, frail in armchair, fixed Wyatt with gaze sharp as shears. Heard rumors. That phase. Wyatt stiffened, but Finn stepped forward, voice even. Not a phase. A life. I'm Wyatt's partner. Dinner crackled tension. Turkey dry as accusations. Lila's tots wide-eyed at the standoff. Mother probed. Logs don't fall for fancies. Wyatt's fork clattered. Love's no fancy. It's the only real I've known. Voices rose, wounds airing. Father's suicide unspoken anchor. Wyatt's flight to forests to escape. Finn mediated, sharing foster fragments. Families chosen, not born. We choose each other. Mother's facade cracked, tears tracing wrinkles. Lila nodded, bridging. They left mended fractured. Wyatt's exhale seismic in the cab. You faced them. For me. Finn's reward was a pull-out ravage. Wyatt devouring him on backseat leather, heat feral, bites marking collar as claim. Winter solstice brought renewal. Mother's card tentative, inviting both for Christmas. Lila's kids' drawings enclosed, stick figure wolves with hearts. Wyatt framed them, vulnerability a new armor. Finn's show toured, Spike's panels and galleries from Portland to Vancouver. Wyatt rode ING. Their hotel nights electric. Mirrors fogging with thrusts against glass. Room service forgotten in afterglow heaps. Spring surged with creation. Finn pregnant with ideas. A graphic novel brewing. Alpha tides. Their story fictionalized. Wolves in human skins navigating Betrayal's Bay. Wyatt posed for refs, bare-chested in studio light. Muscles rippling as Finn captured the alpha curve of his smile. Collaboration spilled to bed. Sketches pinned above, inspiring positions. Wyatt on all fours, Finn tracing spine with charcoal-dusted fingers before erasing with tongue. Heat building to frenzied peaks where pencils snapped in grips. Climax shadowed in May, a callback to Travis's venom. News hit via mill gossip, Travis paroled early, drifting peninsula bars, muttering vendettas. Wyatt's new crew tensed, jobs sabotaged with loose tools, whispers of watch your back. Paranoia crept. Locks doubled, drives scanned rearviews. Finn woke to Wyatt's nightmares, thrashing against phantoms, soothed with body heat. Straddling sweat-slick forms, rocking until demons fled in moans. The peak fractured on a logging site visit. Finn tagging for novel research, Wyatt demoing sustainable cuts. Travis lurked perimeter, eyes feral, lunging with a felled branch as Wyatt turned. Chaos erupted. Swing glancing shoulder, Wyatt tackling, fists flying in mudslick brawl. Finn shouted, hauling Lila's borrowed kid gloves off to wade in, wrenching Travis back with surprising force. Enough! Deputies swarmed, Travis cuffed again. Wyatt bloodied but unbowed, Finn's arms his brace. Aftermath was reckoning. Hospital stitches for Wyatt's gash, Finn's bruises blooming purple on ribs. They drove home silent, cabin welcoming with stew simmering from Riley's drop-off. Over broth, Wyatt broke. Can't keep pulling you into my mess. Finn set bowl down, fierce. Mess is ours. You faced my walls. I face your wolves. Bed that night was balm. Gentle oils. Wyatt's mouth mapping hurts. Entering whisper slow. Eyes conveying what words couldn't. Gratitude. Forever. Heat unspooled tender. Releases soft waves lapping shores of sleep. Summer healed swathes. Restraining beefed. Travis relocated east. Crew loyalty shifting to Wyatt's integrity. The novel advanced. Drafts read aloud fireside. Wyatt's feedback honing edges. Finn's body changed too, yoga for tension. Runs along riverbanks building stamina. Wyatt joining. Their paces syncing like heartbeats. Lovemaking adapted. Outdoor yoga mats for tantric flows. Breaths mingling as limbs entwined. Climaxes cresting with sun salutes. Fall's equinox marked balance. Mother's visit to the cabin, tentative steps over thresholds, Lila's clan tumbling in tow. Stories swapped over pie, Wyatt's boyhood scrapes, Finn's art origins, bridges built in laughter. Mother pulled Finn aside. You grounded him. Thank you. Tears pricked. Finn hugged, family fractal expanding. That night, guests gone, Wyatt and Finn danced slow in kitchen. Radio crooning, hands wandering to unzip, fuck against counters. Joyous, spiking heat celebrating wholeness. Autumn deepened to amber tapestries, the cabin's chimney puffing like contented breaths, mirroring the steady rhythm Finn and Wyatt had carved from chaos. Mornings lingered now, Wyatt's alarm silenced for stolen hours, lips trailing collarbones, hands delving under waistbands to stroke lazy awakenings. Heat simmering to morning releases that left sheets tangled and grins lazy. Best alarm, Wyatt'd mutter. Nuzzling Finn's belly, voice muffled against skin still flushed. Finn carded fingers through tousled hair, anchoring the alpha's head. The intimacy a quiet power exchange that fortified them against the world's whirls. Wyatt's arborist firm burgeoned, subcontracts sprouting for eco-revamps in tech campuses. Pruning innovations over growth. Wyatt leading crews with a blend of grit and grace. Finn's graphic novel neared completion, pages pulsing with their essence. Protagonists navigating betrayal's brambles to claim sun-dappled clearings, illustrations raw with emotion. Shadowed profiles yielding to intertwined forms, heat rendered in fevered lines. Beta readers raved, Riley first in line, her feedback tear-streaked. This is you too. Healing made art. Their social we've tightened. Double dates with Lila's family. Barbecues where Wyatt flipped burgers one-handed. Kids clambering his legs like saplings. Queer mixers in Polsbo, where Finn DJ'd playlists of indie folk. Wyatt two-stepping with surprising sway. Pulling strangers into circles of acceptance. Community service anchored deeper. Wyatt volunteering at the youth center. Teaching safe chainsaw basics laced with identity talks. Finn guest lecturing on visual storytelling. Sketches evolving from personal pain to collective catharsis. Yet undercurrents tugged, subtle as undertow. Finn's past foster specters resurfaced. A social worker's letter, estate scraps from a long-gone guardian, stirring abandonment's old chill. Nights, he'd wake clammy, dreams of empty rooms. Wyatt's arms insufficient bulwark. I'm scared it'll end. Finn confessed one dawn, voice small against pillow. Wyatt rolled atop, caging gently, eyes storm serious. Ends only if we let it. I'm carved for you, roots and all. His descent was worship. Mouth charting ribs, tongue swirling navel, taking Finn deep with sucks that drew whimpers, heat uncoiling slow until Finn shattered, Wyatt swallowing every pulse, affirmation liquid and warm. Winter's solstice gala at the center was triumph. Finn's novel launch intertwined with auction, signed copies fetching bids. Wyatt emceeing with roguish charm, proceeds funding scholarships. Post-event, in the green room, adrenaline surged. Wyatt shoving Finn against lockers, knees buckling as mouths crashed, hands yanking belts free. Proud as hell, Wyatt growled, dropping to knees, engulfing Finn in wet heat. throat working relentless until cries echoed empty halls, release spilling down chin, reciprocation in the cab ride home. Finn's hand palming Wyatt through denim, freeing him to stroke firm, thumb circling slick head, Wyatt's groans rumbling engine deep, climax arcing hot over knuckles. Spring unfurled verdant, the novel's buzz drawing agent interest, talks of print runs, tours. Wyatt's support was steel. Mock readings over breakfast, critiques gentle as leaf fall. But envy flickered unbidden. Wyatt's crew ribbing his fancy scribe, old insecurities of not enough echoing. A slight mishap crystallized it. Ladder slip, Wyatt dangling from harness, heart-stop pulse for Finn waiting below. Safe on ground, Wyatt clung, whispering need you whole. But later, over beers, admitted, your world's expanding, mine's stuck in dirt. Finn bridged, proposing collabs, Wyatt modeling for book covers, joint workshops on crafting identity, axe and pen as metaphors, trials thrilled, studio sessions blurring to erotica. Wyatt posed nude against backdrops, Finn's brushstrokes turning to caresses, paint-smeared bodies sliding together, heat spiking in colorful messes, orgasms streaking canvas. Wyatt's doubt dissolved in the fusion, their worlds meshing like gears. Summer's zenith brought trial by fire. Novel tour kickoff in Seattle. Readings packed, Kuna's probing, how much is memoir? Finn danced truths, betrayal veiled, love laid bare. Wyatt shadowed, hand on small back, but a Portland stop unearthed ghost. Ex-foster brother, now sober counselor, attending incognito. Reunion post-reading was fraught. Apologies exchanged in cafe dim, old slurs recanted as ignorance's blade. Finn forgave fractured, Wyatt's presence sentinel. Hotel that night, release was exorcism. Wyatt bending Finn over balcony rail. City lights witnessing thrusts that pounded out residue. Cries carried on breeze, catharsis cresting in shudders. Fall harvest yielded abundance. Agents deal inked, advance funding cabin expansions, a guest wing for retreats. Wyatt's firm landed a park overhaul, sustainable paths echoing their journey. Celebrations spilled communal. Potlucks with center fam, bonfires where stories circled like sparks. Youth sharing coming outs, elders nodding wisdom. One night, flames low, a teen asked Wyatt, how'd you heal? Alpha paused, arm around Finn. By showing up. Every day. Climax brewed in November. Gales whipping the sound as Travis's shadow lengthened. Parole violated. Manhunt whispers reaching their door. Panic prickled. Patrols increased. Finn's sketches turning vigilant. Wyatt's axe by bed. The break came midnight. Cabin door rattling. Travis, wild-eyed. Bottle in fist. Bellowing Cain. Wyatt rose predator silent, shoving Finn behind, but Finn grabbed phone, dialing as fray erupted. Travis swung, glass shattering, Wyatt dodging to counter with fists like pistons. Alpha fury leashed till then. Finn waited verbal. It's over, Travis. You're the ghost now. Words pierced, Travis faltering. Deputies bursting in to cuff. Chaos quelled. Wyatt's ribs bruised. Finn's adrenaline crash leaving shakes. Interrogation revealed Travis's spiral. Lost job, lost kin. Obsession a warped mirror of Wyatt's old self. No charges pressed beyond violation, but exile enforced. Dawn, wrapped in quilts, Wyatt murmured. You stopped it. Words over blows. Finn's reply was action. Guiding Wyatt's hand between legs, rocking onto fingers, heat building to mutual strokes, releases mingling sticky on bellies, bond reaffirmed. Winter wrapped wounds gentle. Therapy intensives, couple sessions unpacking alpha masks, foster phantoms. Holidays healed lineages. Mother hosting, table groaning with pies, Lila's tots crowning Wyatt, Uncle Wolf. Finn sketching portraits that captured the thaw. Gifts exchanged soul deep. Wyatt's leather journal for Finn's travels. Engraved, Right are forever. Finn's custom chain for Wyatt. Pendant a fused axe head and brush, symbol of union. Spring's renewal mirrored inner. Novel hit shelves, launches in indie shops, reviews lauding Heart's raw spike. Wyatt road managed. Readings ending in signings where fans gushed, couples holding hands inspired. Back home, tour fatigue dissolved in baths. Wyatt massaging knots, mouths following trails, underwater hums vibrating to climaxes that bubbled serene. Summer crested commitments. Engagement whispers, not rings but promises. Vows crafted in workshop, exchanged under solstice moon. Ceremony small, center lawn. Riley officiating, youth choir lilting, Wyatt's eyes misting as Finn vowed, "Your heart's my home." Reception danced wild, but their escape to meadow was poetry. Wyatt laying Finn on blankets, undressing slow as ritual, entering with gazes locked, thrusts deliberate hymns, heat ascending to ecstatic union, stars witnesses to eternity. Autumn's palette gilded their union, the cabin a haven humming with post-vow glow. Wyatt's ring glinting as he stirred pancake batter, Finn's sneaking tastes from the bowl, licks turning to kisses sticky with sweetness. Mornings stretched indulgent, bodies lazy tangling under quilts. Wyatt's hand tracing the pendant at Finn's throat, pulling him atop for slow grinds that escalated to fervent rides. Finn's nails scoring shoulders, Wyatt's groans rumbling chest deep, releases dawn bright and binding. Wyatt's firm flourished, eco-projects greening skylines, Wyatt keynoting at sustainability cons, his gravel timbre captivating, slides featuring Finn's visuals, wolves weaving through concrete jungles, Finn's novel soared, sequels greenlit, tours tempered with cabin returns, writing sprints fueled by Wyatt's brews. Their synergy sparked ventures, a podcast rooted spikes, episodes blending lore and love, guests sharing queer trails, Wyatt's Axe demos intercut with Finn's sketches live. Community bloomed symbiotic. The retreats swelled to festival scale. Wild hearts gather. Tents dotting meadows. Workshops from foraging to figure drawing. Fireside slams voicing identities unchained. Wyatt and Finn tag-teamed keynotes. Their story the through line. Betrayal's bite to compassion's balm. Youth flocked. One non-binary teen gifting Finn a carved heart. "You showed me spikes can heal." Tears pricked. Wyatt's arm tightened. Pride a shared pulse. Yet life's underbelly stirred, subtle tremors. Wyatt's shoulder, old logging twinge, flaring in rains. Nights massaged with salves. Finn's hands kneading deep, evolving to mouth's soothing aches. Heat channeling pain to pleasure. Wyatt's submission a trust testament. Finn's creative drought hit mid-sequel. Pages stalled on climax's echo, doubts whispering one-hit wonder. Wyatt countered with hikes, summits where vistas dwarfed fears, picnics turning playful. Chasing through ferns, tackles yielding to ground romps, earth-damp bodies thrusting wild, cries scaring birds to flight. Winter's hush brought introspection. Mother's health waned, visits lengthening. Finn reading novel aloud bedside. Wyatt whittling distractions for siblings. Hospice talks loomed gentle, but her parting gift was acceptance. A quilt stitched with family motifs, wolves among them. Funeral in Chehalis was mosaic. Loggers in suits, center friends in rainbows, eulogies weaving loss to legacy. Wyatt's toast broke voices. She saw roots at end. Like I see you. Reception spilled to cabin, wakes turning wakes. Laughter amid tears, bonfire confessions mending. Spring's thaw mirrored rebirth. Lila relocating nearby, kids' chaos filling weekends. Wyatt Uncle Angie with piggybacks. Finn sketching portraits that captured glee. Novel 2 dropped, echo spikes. Delving forgiveness's folds. Reviews hailing depth. Launch party at center. Wyatt surprising with mural tribute. Finn's lines scaled wall size. Their forms entwined eternal. Summer's heatwave tested metal. Wildfires licked Cascade's edges. Wyatt's crew deployed for evac clears. Days blurring to worry for Finn at home base. Coordinating supplies. Smoke choked skies, but Wyatt's calls grounded. Thinking of your mouth. Come back to it. Returns were reunions raw, Wyatt ash-streaked. Finn stripping him in showers, soaping grit away. knees buckling to oral devotions, water cascading over joined forms, heat-piercing haze to urgent fucks against tile, reclamation fierce. Fall's equinox equaled poise. Podcast snagged sponsor. Episodes touring live. Portland stages where crowds hung on tails. Q&A's probing happily ever. Wyatt's quip. Every spike's a step. Backstage trysts fueled adrenaline. Dressing rooms dim. Wyatt hiking Finn's leg. Entering swift. Thrusts muffled by ties. Climax's hushed gasps. Climax crested unbidden. A health scare's shadow. Wyatt's twinge diagnosed rotator cuff tear. Surgery looming. Alpha's world tilting. Prep weeks were tender terror. Wyatt vulnerable in gowns. Finn bedside vigil. Post-op nights spooning careful. Pain meds blurring to hazy intimacies. Fingers linking. Whispers weaving futures. Rehab ground slow. Wyatt's frustration flaring to slam doors. But Finn's patience prevailed. Yoga duets adapting poses. Progress celebrated with escalating rewards. Light touches to full-body worships. Wyatt's healing arm lifting Finn eventual. Penetration triumphant. Heat spiking victory's thrill. Winter solstice marked milestone. Tear mended. Wyatt swinging axe test cuts. Finn cheering from sidelines. Holiday gala grandeur. Center aglow. Their engagement anniversary toasted with custom meads. Dance floor slow burn to private. Cabin loft. Candles guttering. Wyatt unveiling ring. Simple band with turquoise inlay. Wolf-etched. Finn's matching. Vows renewed raw. Through spikes and stills. Lovemaking labyrinthine. Positions testing strength. Wyatt bottoming deep. Finn's pace commanding. Mutual peaks shattering stained glass quiet. Spring propelled forward. Lila's wedding. The best man tandem. Speeches roasting sibling bonds. Dances twirling kin. Novel 3 brood. Trilogy capstone eternal spikes. Arcs resolving in humanistic arcs. Freedom's cost. Compassion's yield. Agent buzzed adaptations. Indie film whispers. Wyatt eyeing consultant role. Summer's zenith hosted Wild Heart's peak. Festival thrumming with hundreds. Tents a village of voices. Keynote dawn. Finn and Wyatt on stage. Sharing arc. Love's not conquest. Is showing up. Laundry days to forever. Applause thundered, but their close was private. Backwoods clearing. Clothes shed to breeze. Bodies reclining in grass. Wyatt entering languid. Rhythm's tidal. Heat ascending solar. Release a supernova sigh. As leaves hinted gold again, reflections deepened. Scars faded but textured, teaching texture to life. Wyatt's journal filled with entries. Gratitude lists, fears faced. Finn's sketches portfolio journeys. Wall's gallery of growth. One eve, porch swing creaking, Wyatt pulled Finn to lap, hand dipping shirt, pinching nipples to gasps. Every day with you spikes right. Finn ground down, friction building, outdoor dusk enveloping as they chased peaks, cries fading to stars. Their story, once fractured, now wove tapestry. Humanity in the mess, freedom in the claim, identity in the merge. Betrayal's blade dulled to tool, carving space for light. In each other's arms, hearts and heats spiked eternal. A testament. Love endures, wild and true.